But if you notice, the cable is different on this now. I now have the ultimate Cat 6 cable collection. Anyway, today I have a plan. Today, I do have a plan, and we've been programming on this one a lot. So I'm gonna change it up today. We're gonna program on this one, in this window, and it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna create a new file. We're gonna call this thing, I don't know, the call it Flingo. Honestly, I don't know what I'm gonna call it. I don't know. We need to give it a good name, but we'll create a program today in D-Lang that's going to allow us to just spam documentation into our terminal, mainly because I want to. So, well, as always, it's something I want to do. So I mean. D as in D-Lang. What did we learn yesterday? We learned that D is just better C. Import standard IO. I think if you just do dash better C and compile it to basically C at that point. I feel like the ultimate goal should be like to not use any of these libraries because they make it way extra, I feel. We're gonna create a void main and then go from there. Our task for today, let's go find something to use for my project. Man, we're gonna use that tab for something. The Todd Howard tab can be turned into a web browser for now. I don't even remember what the last tab I had open was on this thing. NASM docs? Okay. Thank you, Todd. Todd the God. What a legendary man. Man, get this post. I am bullshit out of there. Bruh. Sorry, I had to say that. Interrupt. GNU grab manual. But I'm gonna make a program that's gonna take docs and just give you random facts about them. Be like, yeah, here's a good way to learn, bro. So and we do have a perfect documentation for it. Let's see. Linux manual pages. Wow. Cool. So we got our Linux manual pages. That's amazing. We don't need that really. We need we could use D-Lang manual pages and give a random D generator. That'd be lame though, but I mean, what documents do I even have on this device? What documents do I have on my main system, bro? Documents. Send over the documentation folder from the main thing and just make a documentation folder on this one. Cache speculation side channels. All right, let me go ahead and do this real quick. I'm gonna SCP this shit over. nmap-sv. Okay, nmapping underway. Alright, I have the network. Wow, that's weird to me. I was just like, bro, what am I looking at? We need to make a new folder. On top of this guy, we're gonna open up my Thunar Instamacate, bro. Ain't no fucking way. I still got shaders enabled in my Thunar, bro. Anyway, create folder and documentation. Apparently you can create a desktop. Alright, everything from documents is gonna go into here. Just wait a second. SCP home / documents / D O, and we're gonna copy that into the, so it's that everything in there, the entire documentation folder is gonna be copied into Heisenberg at that IP address. Colon documents, which is capital documentation. Oh, right. Hold on. Let me make sure that you guys aren't watching that when I type that one in. Oh, not that one. That's fine. Here. Let's go to this one. Failed. Okay. Oh yeah, I love that song, man. That song is awesome. All right, back to it. Bruh. Okay. We need to do some cleaning. What's this one? You know, I shouldn't just be clicking on random images because I don't remember what these are exactly on there. Echo High does rm-rf / no preserve root. Oh, that's interesting. I don't want to do that then. Let me see. Lots of interesting videos on there. Interesting files. Okay, I'll look at that later. Questionable on what some of these files are. That's the Jarvan documentation. We got rock chip data sheets. We got the programming in D. Wow. And this one might be able to be. By the way, this guy's awesome, bro. Check out his work. Did you try? Nah, man. What's this one? 4th edition. I wonder if it's like written in 4th. This is programming massively parallel processors. Hands-on approach. Yeah, but hands-on. Well, massively. Wait, a hands-on approach for programming a massively parallel processor? What? What am I even reading, bro? Operating systems. That one's good. Random images, though. The C# book. Fucking cringe, bruh. Alright, so we're gonna make a tool. in dlang that it's going to import core or runtime dot. Actually, it is core dot runtime. Runtime, and that's going to give us our. We don't even need it. Yeah, let's go. That imports core runtime. And then we'll need to have a class up here since I want to do that. I like classes actually. I might be a fucking weirdo now. I might have been infected by the object-oriented programming virus, and now I really like classes for some fucking reason. We'll call this do thing. Very good naming, and of course, we have do thing, and do thing will do stuff. And what we're gonna do with do thing now. So do thing needs a constructor. It's also probably gonna have its own variables and stuff. We'll figure that out in a second. But first, let's get working on. We'll hold off on that. No, it will just take args. What it's going to do is create a slice of args to start off. So that'll be a string array called args. Easy. Then we need our constructor, this, which is going to be to make the constructor. And then we'll have this dot args equals core. Oh, actually, we could import core dot runtime in there and then get the args that way. Technically, you could put a whole function inside your this constructor. Equals core dot runtime. No, equals runtime.args, pretty much. And then you just want to take the slice of runtime.args and turn that into a thing. Python. Yeah, I have a friend who's trying to learn Python. I'm like, man, Python's actually not that far away. No, actually it looks like C++. This is dlang. But I actually want to do videos on Python because I read they have a lot of C compatibility, which means I now have to interop Python and dlang. So that kind of has to happen at some point now. It literally has to happen. And you can do from 1 to the end. That gives us our 1 to end. I'm sure I could probably just import runtime selectively. Man, I don't want to do that. There's like barely anything in that library anyway. Python. D-link? No, D-lang. As in the D programming language. We're gonna make God today. We're gonna make our God, not the Christian God. Our God is gonna do great things. He's gonna read documentation to me. See, our Lord and Savior, he's gonna read me AMD manual. I have all of the AMD manual volumes, by the way. If you need a copy, you can ask me. I also have the Black Arch guide. But anyway, he's gonna read me manuals, so I'm gonna program him. Bro, D-lang is like totally garbage. I actually hate D-lang, honestly. See, I can show you guys why I hate D-lang. Let me just open the terminal and then go cd. Actually, it is in D-lang. And then bad OS2. cd example. ls object dump example dot O. What am I doing? Example.o, and then do a dash H. Oh shit, my bad, I mistyped it. That's if you compile it to C. Now let's go ahead and hit it with a T. So this is a C-compiled version of the dlang file. It's basically, at this point, as close as you can get it to C. It doesn't have any runtime or anything. But if we go ahead and cd ... again, which one do I have a hello world example in? Jarvan. Let's cd Jarvan. ls, and then we'll do obj dump dash h, and then we'll do a dash t. Look at this. That's our that's the program. That's terrible. That's so much more. That's the dash H, by the way. The dash T is a hell of a lot more. I think a lot of this has to do with the garbage collection system and selective imports. Like, we don't selectively import enough. So it's including a lot of core libraries and features that it needs for the runtime itself. So that's what I think that is. I think that's why it's terrible. Because to have a runtime for the language, you're going to have to include so much of those. So string args is going to become this, which then means we no longer need that, but we still need to grab them nonetheless. So this should pretty much be able to compile, and then now all I have to do is create a auto new or do thing equals do thing, and then we don't even need to do anything, just need to do that and call it with new, because it's not a struct basically. Bro, now that I take my headphones off, I can hear the sound of all of the machines going, bro. do thing, and then after we've done thing, we can then start adding stuff to do thing. So we have our class as a string called args, and we want to kind of parse the args. So I feel like the optimal way of breaking it down will be to do like dash hyphen and then put option, and then after that, then we have option 2, and then option, technically 3. Technically, you don't even need a hyphen. You just have to have options. Option 1, 2, and 3. For example, each piece of it is an option, and then the last one, the last index will always be a RNG random int from wherever you want it to be from, and that's how you will get the index. So that's how I'm going to do that. No, don't save it yet. We're not there yet. But yeah, you can have like up to 3 options, random int. That'll keep it simple. That won't be too complicated. I won't have to do any kind of loops or anything. But it will just check through all of those, and it will create our system. Although I won't probably even need options for the most part. I guess really you only need an option 1 and that'll be the thing you're wanting to get, or the source. And then the second thing is you provide it a random int. Though these are strings, and so to turn this into an int would be pretty difficult, from what I remember. I've never really messed with that. I think I have like one time tried to do it, but other than that, I don't really know what I would do. I'd probably have to look at standard libraries first. So that'll be an interesting part. Honestly, args should include a struct, and I feel like the construction of args, we should just make a struct for it. But I guess if a reference type, like class, exists, we'll just use the features of class to create our... technically, we don't even need a random int. So we can do all of the random stuff inside of here. We just need a source. The source file is the only thing that needs to be provided. Cool. Simple. Then we need to figure out if we can like cat a PDF or stuff like that. See what we can do as far as like how terminal tools can read that. So cat slash all right. Fish, how is it? I always show up anywhere from 3 to 4 a.m. Because it's 3 to 4 a.m. Let's see. AMD-manual. Oh god, I broke it. I broke it. Garbled text. Oh, it's HTML. So, that's interesting. We'll need to just copy and paste it out as files that it can read and give it its own database to reference from. Because that's all garbled and a lot of different sections that are just completely just not readable. That's mangled, as it's called. Okay. Welcome to Fish Supporter. Thank you for coming to support my beautiful projects. Thank you for this, man. I don't know what to say. Fuck, he's right. Have a membership. Like lately, the amount of support I've been getting from everybody's been pretty crazy. I don't know. It's been pretty good. But we're gonna do great things on this channel. So that's the goal. I'm just kind of tired right now, though, honestly. Honestly, I'm kind of tired. So we have our source. Args source. So pretty much we'll just grab it from here to length. If it gets multiple, what will it do? Runtime.args should only be one string, and it should just grab the index 1 of the args, so that way it keeps it simple. I mean, you're not a brain-dead generic douche and have a soothing voice. Thank you. Yeah, I get that a lot, the soothing voice thing. Let's go ahead and save. Actually, let's hold off on that. So let's take one of these and just grab everything out of it and put it into a text file of some kind. Let's find something good that's particularly interesting to grab. I'd say maybe NASM docs and just copy and paste all of the bulk of it into that. I mean, there's 353 pages of documentation here. Bro, we're just gonna copy and paste all of this out. We're gonna start from the top though. And then just... Actually, I think NASM might even have... I don't want to try to make an HTML parser though. Like, that's the last thing I want is HTML parsing. At that point, I might as well make my tool a website at that point instead of a terminal command line tool. Why am I typing an HTML parser? NASM docs. I mean, technically, you can integrate curl with dlang and then just curl from there. tar.gz, zip. You enjoy this LARP? Yeah. Fair enough, man. Let's see, args. So we're gonna take our args. Well, then what do we do with that? We're gonna need a index. So we need a start point and an end point. That's where we need what we need, and we'll make it like 50 lines of length. So we'll need a file.open, and we need a file that we can just extract and create a text file from. So the reference probably isn't long enough for that. Maybe the dlang book. Can we get a .text version of dlang book? Programming in D. There we go. This one, I think I'll be able to put into the thing. Me when she HTMLs my Arch till I Linux. Yeah, if I have to touch HTML, I'm gonna melt inside. I don't want to mess with HTML today. Well, if I have to mess with parsing anything, parsing stuff is very painful. It hurts my brain. So I never asked, what are the goals here? What are we coding? We're gonna make God from the one things from Terry Davis. We're following Terry Davis's guide on making God, essentially. But instead of it being religious, I want it to teach me about dlang. So what I need to do is take one of these and then just shove it in there. Actually, maybe I can make a PDF parser to parse PDFs for text, but I just wanted to spit out random lines of it so I can just have a every day just go and click or type in a command and be like, oh yeah, I've learned a lot today. This is a terrible way of copying and pasting all of this. I wonder if I can do PDF to .text. So basically just learning? Yeah, pretty much. Should be DOS. Wait. Oh, look, free converters. I wonder if I could just convert a PDF to text myself. Convert a PDF to text. Let's see how shitty this website is. I'm sure it can only be as shitty as it wants to be. Choose file. Documentation. AMD manual, C# book. God, I don't want to do that one. .NET, C#, Hexagon Micro. Do you guys want to? May I make a request? Go ahead. We can do ARM assembly. Programming in D. Grab that one. So this way I can accelerate my learning with daily quotes from the dlang Bible. This is the D-Lang Bible. Ooh. Now I have a .text file. Can I download the .text file? This says start. I don't trust that. Start? Ah, yes, I like Chrome Web Store add-ons. No, I don't want to support these guys. Wait, download selected? Let's go ahead and initiate the downloads. Put it in my downloads folder. And don't worry, this is sandboxed. Let's go ahead and investigate this .text. Named old Pisus Wisdom, and within the file, can you say, I dislike when other shit my pants for me. Old Pisus 2026. Yeah, I can do that. I could add it to the end. I don't know. Let me go ahead and make that real quick. Oh shit. Make a .text file named old pieces, and within it I dislike when other shit my pants for me dash old pieces. Oh, old man. $2026. Let's go ahead and save that. I need to make a new folder for this. Let me go here and set up my new folder in D-Lang. Quotes. Quotes? No, what do I... Oh, I mean, I guess we'll call it, Quotron? I'm not sure yet. Naming. I was thinking, like... I mean, Jarvan was a great idea. Maybe we just rename it and call it Jarvan 3. Jarvan 3 is the ultimate Jarvan. He doesn't do anything, he just tells you. Maybe we call it Jester. Yeah, Jester. The ultimate entertainer. Alright, that's where we're going to save it at. So I'm going to go save as. I have left my mark permanently, and thus I am happy. Jester. Save as Jester. And then call it. Alright, there we go. Old man pieces. I might put these in a subfolder, and then eventually I'll have it be able to read these into the terminal, and then you could be like jokes, and it will just read this or quotes from viewers and stuff. Oh, I forgot to put the. That's fine. I'll put punctuation in a second. That would be pretty cool, though. Honestly, I feel like if people wanted to do or want to give me ideas for these, I'd be willing to do so. And then we just make a big file with everybody's stuff in there, and then anybody who supports the channel really could do that for them. New folder, or create new documents. No, actually we already have a place where we can do that. Just do it over here. So we downloaded a .text file, actually. Downloads? Which downloads? Oh, that's the Tor browser one. So, oh, right. All of these, man. Oh, let's go ahead and make sure we, open with Kate. And wow, that actually worked. So I'm surprised. Let's see what we can remove from it, because some of these sections are just completely just... That's the index right there. Wonder how they make this happen. I kind of want to remove the abstract and shit because it's just not entirely important. Let's see, like the first section, the Hello World program. So let's tweak it to there, then we're good. Is there a Discord? Yeah, I'll send it to you in a second. I also have a matrix, but nobody really uses the matrix that much. So, god damn, there's a lot of lines here. I think we might even create a compression algorithm at some point, but this is one way we'll be able to do it, and then we'll be able to select like up to 50 lines or something like that, or come up with a way of doing that. This is taking a very long time. God damn. How many lines of index is there? 5 billion lines of index. Oh, and don't forget we need to get the glossary too. So the first, we've removed the index, so I don't have to worry about any of those lines. Save. Cool. We're going to move that file and put it into my dlang folder. Bet I don't use matrix myself, but Discord is worth. All right. Let's see. Let's go ahead and paste that in there. At least 2. the 2 remaining lines. Oh, it's just the Oblivion gate. Wow, that's good. I'm surprised that actually worked. So we have something to use. Oh yeah, so we'll add a. First thing we're gonna add is a class called do thing, or we're gonna just call it void choke, or void supporter, or no, what do I want to call this one? A couple. Yeah, a couple surviving lines. I guess we'll just call it void joke for now, and then later I'll come up with a better name for what it does. Because all it's going to do is just read from a folder, which I'm going to make it after I move the dlang programming documentation into dlang, and then move it into here. I feel like it'd be way faster to put it in here using the terminal, actually. Probably would have been way faster. I could just put it straight in there. What am I calling this one? I'm calling this knowledge. I actually call it data. Why would I call it knowledge? What kind of arcane shit is this? Data. Maybe I'll put SCP in there so it just randomly prints an entire SCP article into the terminal. What a useful tool. Well, I could just make it grab from the SCP website, bro. Make it print SCPs too. That'd be a great feature, but I'm not even sure about doing that stuff yet. Create folder. Viewer. So there we go. We'll have a folder specifically for viewer or viewer support and stuff like that. I'm going to change this to the viewer. We'll also create one for other stuff. Make 079 OS. What's 079? What is this? For like the a chip called 079? Void docs. Technically, I think in the constructor, I can add these, but would I really want to? Well, I'd also have to declare these statically if I wanted that to be the case, which would make it more of a functional program rather than object program. Oh, SCP-09 is a sentient computer. Bro, that'd be crazy to do. They got all kinds of computer ones, don't they? We wouldn't even need to do an if for that. We just need some kind of way of checking it. I think we can literally just do this in the constructor. I'm pretty sure I can do this in the constructor. So we make a constructor, and then we just call the functions from the constructor with an if case. So this creates if, or this.args as that, and then dlang Jarvis maybe. Oh, I was working on something like that, but not really like Jarvis. It was like more of a tool. I called it Jarvin. It's like a mix of Marvin and Jarvis, which is a Marv reference. If you don't know, then you don't know. But Marvin, bro, Jarvin. Let's go ahead and add in the if statements so I can call my static.void viewer. This is terrible, but I mean, you give me object-oriented programming, so I'm gonna cook with some object-oriented programming today. Actually, we'll do a case, and then we'll do args. Stroke Jarvis, stroke it a little. Switch args. Default is exit. Actually, default is like something else. I'm not sure yet. Default is just to return, I guess. I mean, technically this constructor is a function, and you don't need to do anything. It just runs a function if you have a this constructor. So that means when I do auto do thing equals new thing, all I have to do is have a this constructor that makes it so that when do thing is created, it just does the program. which this is the ultimate weirdness of all time, I feel like, because there should be no reason that I'm able to create a constructor that also runs the entire program. That shouldn't happen. Somebody has officially done goofed with this one. I'm pretty sure that's how it's gonna work, though. I think it can do this. I can have a switch in here for my constructors, and then cook with this. The default will be viewer, so the default will be like void or viewer suggested or suggested stuff. Case. No, default would be viewer. And I don't think I think it needs to be static viewer. Or no, it needs to call viewer. So probably this dot viewer. Or do thing dot viewer. Like this probably, but we'll figure that out when we compile. But put these bugs in my code. I'm the only one working on the project. Yeah. We'll find out about the bugs. We'll find out about the bugs when we go to compile. It's gonna be awesome. When I compile it, it's gonna disintegrate right in front of me, and I'm gonna be excited to see that happen. Totally. And what this is gonna do, we're gonna create a file. So we're going to create an auto file equals, and then it needs to be just a random file from that directory. So how do you select a wildcard file? I guess you would need to do something with dir entries. So let's go here. Google search or file. I have never actually done a wildcard file with dlang. So maybe I just have to create a viewer file. But I don't want to do... yeah, it'd probably be more efficient. But also it needs to have a path. So... well, the path is wherever you run it at. So wherever you're running this program, it's already in that path. So then all it needs to go is /data/viewer and then find a wildcard. So I think what it can do is something like data/data/viewer/asterisk and then .text. And then it can also needs to have a read only, so just R. I think that's how you can do it. I think it just works the same as a Linux command almost. So that should be part of that. My programming is very clean. If you program Java, you'll see that I don't have to have 10 monitors for my Java, but it's not Java, it's dlang. Oh, get wrecked. Actually, it'd be cool to make a decompiler that compiles into Java bytecode. I think I'm slowly getting infested with the fucking Java virus, bro. Java virus. And the reason is because my friend tells me that he's got to learn Java for his college course, and I'm like, bro, that's crazy, but okay. If that's how it is, then maybe I should just start learning Java too, so that way I'm ready for... But I also think he's getting Java and JavaScript confused. Colon, case, whatever the case would be. So, dlang. But it needs to be a string, because you can't just have some random unknown type just sitting there. We'll just call it dlang caps. Dlang. And if it gets that one, it's going to do void dlang. And then, boom. Create a void for that. So now I have two static voids. So then all I have to do is give it a return and a function, or the void function. So what I do thing, I'm sure this is gonna break, even though do thing dot dlang. But this is also such an interesting way of doing it too. Like, there's absolutely no reason to put this in here. But that means I only have to do one thing in my main, and that's create the new thing file. The other thing is it needs to then have... it would need to have a initialization. So this thing... this thing, wow, that's such a great way of... honestly, you could do this with just functions, but this is so clean, honestly. I don't know why. We need to take a... well, actually, the input can be the second one. So, this dot string arg 1. And then we'll have string arg2. Actually, we could just do a string array, but that's confusing, man. Who wants to do a string array? Because now I have to make it take multiple args. Yeah, that's fair. We'll just make it take multiple args. And then we'll just do one dot dot to the $sign. Which gives you one to the from beginning to length. Without giving you the full path. Which you wouldn't really need for anything, would you? But you can get the path if you specify 0. So args switch args 1. Then that means that everything's gonna have to be indexed now. That's fine. I don't really care too much. It's just gonna have to be an index of it. So if you were to put a break in here, it would exit whatever loop this would be in. But yes, we're gonna call this gesture.d. So save it. Let's continue. This is also really good practice because I don't usually work with classes much. If you've seen any of my other programming, it's the most fuck-ass code you'll ever see. But I think object-oriented abstraction, even though Linus Torvalds would tell me is probably bad, is the greatest thing of all time, guys. I think it's amazing because it makes my code inconceivable to the human eye. Yeah, imperceptible, if you will. So I got my data, which has programming in D. I'm probably going to just change this to viewer, so that way if we have more viewer suggestions in the future, or supporter suggestions, which is probably what it's going to mainly be. But for now, we'll just call it viewer, and then we'll move it back up to the next layer. GUI. Replace. Sudo pacman replace it. Bruh. Okay, I need to open another one. Another Thunar instance, bro. Thunar RGB shaders win. I hope the shaders really are just confusing to anybody. Like, why do I even have shaders running on these? Documentation's not where I need to go. I need to go to the D-Lang one. I should just add D-Lang to, like, the sidebar. So that way I actually know where it's at. Data. Bro, I'm so dumb. Let's rename this then. Rename to, D. Okay, you know what? D's nuts. Rename it. Put this in here. Delete. Yes, please. Sudo yes, delete that. Good job. Alright, so it's either going to read from viewer or programming in d.text. But either way, to actually get our .text out of these, which you can just take off the ending if you don't really want to, do not trust anyone who does not say GUI. Yeah. I'm a professional GUI user, bro. Data. Now we don't even need to put the .text part. We just have to put the file name. So, opens viewer. And then the other one, oh shit, me being big dumb today. The other one just opens the other one. So, what will that be? Viewer programming in D. Rename it to D-Lang. Sudo, please rename to D-Lang. Alright, that makes my life really easy. All I gotta do is D-Lang it out. D-Langium chloride. Okay. We got 2 files opened. On all these scopes, you could technically put an exit thing. So, what that's gonna look like is if I put scope exit, then it can run file.close. But here's the thing, is that has to happen after you've initialized the file. So to actually do that correctly, instead of me being a jackass and putting it in like that, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put tab, and I'm going to do scope, exit, and then file.close. Because technically, when it leaves this scope, it's out of this function, so it needs to run file.close anyway. It's kind of important, because if you don't, then you might corrupt data or something like that. But I've never really had anything happen with that, so I can't say what it will do, honestly. It just works, man. It's delaying. It just works. It just works at the cost of being super heavily bloated, honestly. In my opinion, I think it's bloated. Because it's not assembly, and me becoming an assembly programmer slowly, day by day. It's slowly happening, guys. I'm slowly becoming a assembly programmer, whether the D enjoyers like it or not. Although, I don't think anybody here enjoys D, they just enjoy me programming in D, so... So those are the scopes for exit, and if you put a scope for exit, that means that whenever you exit this, then it's just going to do whatever comes after it. Technically, you can put a scope after this to do multiple things, so it's just like an if statement, but instead it's a bit more advanced. It looks pretty too. That way, if you don't know when it's going to exit, or if something crashes and breaks, then you don't have to worry about that file closing, because it's loaded in memory at that point. So the thing is, though, when you open a file, you're gonna be expressions document generator. Wow. Introduction. Library reference, please. Standard. Well, let's go to file. Because when you open the file, you are putting the whole thing in memory. So if we put that entire other thing into memory, that could potentially be massive of a file size. So we don't want to just open an entire file, load it into memory. Because how large is the dlang file exactly? Let's 1.3 megabytes. I mean, I guess it is space efficient. We could technically load the entirety into memory. I don't want to, though. And when it does this, that's the file opening, so we might need to create a struct to create a buffer. We don't need standard.file. I want to read the standard.standard.dio, because that one has a lot of interesting stuff that I don't really look at much. A lot of it you just kind of go, what even is all of this? Like, see here, this is the file struct. There's open network? What? Experimental network access via file interface. Only works on Linux. What would Terry Davis do? Put the whole thing in memory? That's what he did. I'm pretty sure that's what he did. But... standard out.writeline. These are just a bunch of examples of how you can use these properties. I really haven't messed with properties much, but these are also important. Read from standard input. Oh, and this would be important for implementing these, but I really don't understand how all of that works, so that is a lot of complex stuff. I'm sure I could put time into it and just reverse engineer it, but nobody wants to see me reverse engineering that for my tool to print random quotes inspired by God. The God tool. Like Temple OS God. Okay. The OS includes God Speaks as a random text generator tool. Basically, it's like, bro, like I watch some of his streams and he just types into it and then it gives him a bunch of like cohesive statements back. But all it's doing is it selects an index, Like, it loads the whole entirety of the specific Bible that he used into memory, and then selects a range, and then whatever index it landed on, it just gives him that for the day. He believed it was a divine tool for him to speak to God. And that there was like some other stuff too, but I don't remember all of it. It's a lot. Like, you watch his streams and you're like, bro, I don't even understand what's happening right now. Because, like, bro, what the hell? Like, watching the archives of his streams is crazy because you're like, damn, this guy is that good at programming. He literally created programming with images in his terminal. He had images inside of his code. Like, what? How the hell did this man do this? Locking binary writer. Produces a grayscale image of the Mandelbrot set in binary in the net PBM format standard output. What? What is the Mandelbrot set, bro? What the hell did I just stumble upon? Locking binary writer. Whoa. What? Bro. Auto-locking writer. What the hell, man? Bro, I just stumbled across that, man. That's crazy to me. I didn't know that existed. Sorry, Arch Linux, man. I'm so sorry today. Locking text writer. I know Mandelbrot was important for something, but I don't know why. Keep Terminator. T420. Wow. Data. Oh yes, the Linus Torvalds naming conventions have continued. This time it's not me though. It's the D-Lang people. C buffer. Buffer used to store the resulting line data, but buff is enlarged if necessary. Alright, here we go. So, I believe readln file, there should be a file.readln inside of the file section. Let's scroll back up to the top. So, here's file. Encapsulates the file pointer. Generally, T does not attempt to provide thin wrappers over equivalent functions in C standard library, but manipulating file values is unsafe and error prone in many ways. The file type ensures manipulation, automatic file closing, and a lot of convenience. Which, yeah, it makes it really easy. F.WriteLine. Do they have an example of F.readline? Or is that in standard.file? I think standard.file is more like your directory tools, but file is like the basic stuff. Let's see. Void reopen reuses the file object to open a different file. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna have scope exit close the file though. So whenever you go to, if you do have a case where you go to or somehow end up screwing up, it'll just close on its own. But pure no throw, name error detach. Detaches from the underlying file if the sole owner calls close. Flush flushes the C file buffers. Sync forces any data buffered by the OS to be written to disk. Call flush before calling this function to flush the C file buffers first. This is probably for like if you wanted to make like htop pretty much. You have to like read from one of the files. Raw reads, something we've used before. Raw writes, those are for binary stuff. Like writing binary to a file. Although I bet they have an explanation of those because I've never really read about them. Calls fread to file, or for the file to handle some other stuff. Yeah. Ulong tell const void rewind. Calls set v buff void lock. Locks the specified file segment if this is already locked by another. Waits until the existing lock is released. Try lock, unlock, write. Read ln. Jump to 2. Read ln from a file and return it as a specified type. Okay. Line terminator by default is a new line character. And do they have an example of read ln? Yeah, so you can technically put it into a buffer. So let's create a buffer for it then. Let's go ahead and make a buffer of maybe lines. I don't know. I want to read a specific buffer of lines. Let's say, well, obviously we could create a buffer of the characters. Let's see. You can define buffer though, for sure. So when we go into our code, you can do something along the lines of file.readln, and then it says the buffer stuff exists. Like what does it say again? It says you can have line equals standard dot readln, or what was it? No, it's below that. Read line from file and write it to buff array, including terminating character, D terminator. So you could set it a card terminator. I don't think I've ever really used it like this, but this can be faster than line equals file.readln because you can reuse the buffer for each call. Note that reusing a buffer means you must copy the previous contents if you wish to retain them. Buffer used to store the resulting line data. Then set to right. So let's see. Buffer 0. They have a car array of buffer. That's how you set the length to. You'd say the index of it's going to equal, like, I don't know, 512 bytes would be 512 cars. Each car being a UTF-8 byte. So we'll create a buffer then. Car array, we'll call it buff, just like they did, and then also we're gonna make it equal. Actually, you can do it dynamically and have it still equal like 512 or something like that. That's something I learned with the other things, is that if it doesn't need to be 512 bytes, you wouldn't even need to have it that long. So technically, it is okay to do it like this, where you can just say 512 or something like that. Although, maybe you'd want to do it here. I think maybe. Let's go ahead and say it's 1,200 or 1,024. That way it's a good length, and then semicolon. And then the thing is, though, is that whenever we call buff 1024, that means that I think there's some problems with this, because how do they use it? So readln puts it into buffer. Alright, so they have a while loop in there. And they also have an output, which they declare up there. So here's what I would do differently. yes, we can declare the string output. I guess we could technically have the output declared as a, but that could be a function local thing. Honestly, it's just gonna write the line anyway. And then it will just write the lines as it goes. The buffer, however, also doesn't need to be a global thing. It doesn't need to be in, I mean, it could be reused, but really it's just going to be kind of in these. I gotta piss real quick. I'm gonna be back in a second. This is we're getting somewhere with this, but I'm not even really sure what I'm doing with read ln into buffers, so I'll be back in a second. I have returned. I've returned to program more again, as always. As per usual, the more programming, the better. File.readln. We want to select an index. I don't know exactly if we can do this. But yes, they can use a buffer. Output appends buffer? Maybe? I don't know exactly. I know if like reading from socket, you would use a buffer for sure. And you buffer it to like 512 bytes. Standard.file.remove, delete me, and then it's, oh, so it's like a swap file almost. Like they have their own version of a swap file. Damn. Formatted read line. Well, what's the file.byline? Isn't there like a file.byline almost? Is file handle. Reading lines. For each string line, can you select a index of the line? How would you jump to a point? You would skip a line until you reach it? Well, no, what you would do is, I guess you could for each line, but that loads the whole thing, wouldn't it? Or maybe you'd read each line and then just only append the ones you need, but that's not efficient either. Because we want to read just that segment of it. We just want to read a little, oh, here we go. Oh, chunks. Iterates through a file a chunk at a time using by for each. That's what we'll want. So we'll create a buffer now. Or, yeah, but we want chunk. So we'll want to do a chunk system. For each. Let's go with chunk. Or I keep getting confused because I'm so used to going from this one to that one to get to my browser. But now I just go to the Arch one, where the Arch dude's at, bro. Oh, that's where my OBS is at. Here's the Arch dude, by the way. If you didn't know, he uses Arch, by the way. You can tell because of his Arch t-shirt. He's the Arch Master, bro. Nobody can beat the Arch Master. For each U-byte buffer. Then chunks. Oh. So my for each U-byte buffer can take chunks. So you'd use the buffer and then you'd put it into an output pretty much, I think, is what I'm understanding. We can put this locally and scope guard it. So I'll show that off. Scope guarding is really nice. It's a really great feature of the language because it helps you keep your memory in one area and it keeps the code kind of clean. So do my for each in here, and then I'll do U-bytes. Can I technically define the U-byte in there? Never mind. Maybe I don't need to do that. Or unless that's the example. What am I even programming? I'm programming a tool that's going to read a file, and then it's going to give us a random output from the file. Let's go with U-bytes. What was it? 1048, 1040? What am I doing? 1024. Do a 1024 buffer, so it's not too long. It doesn't do any weird stuff. Although I'm pretty sure 248 or 496 would be fine. I think 496 is okay. Yeah, we're gonna call it God once I'm done with it. Actually, we're calling it Jester. Okay, so for each, and we're gonna call it buff. I've never defined a U-byte buffer inside of a for each loop before, but according to the documentation, you can totally do this. And oh, okay, so chunks 96. We actually have to make this dynamic, otherwise it will screw shit up. So, can you run sudo rm-rf on your console? Man, what are you asking, man? Bruh, you can't handle this much Arch Linux, bro. That much of the Arch Linux master right there. Alright, anyway, buffer, semicolon, chunks, standard in. What? Where does standard in come from? That is just, unless this is, I guess this is their example. I guess I need to import standard in. Chunks. So let's go ahead and add chunks, or standard in. Also, we need file. Do it in order, please. File. And then standard in. I don't think we need to put standard in though. I think with selective imports, we probably shouldn't need to do that. And then write ln. Hello. Let's go ahead and save that. Buffer, and then that's going to be our for each loop. Chunks. And then we need to figure out where we even start. Like, how do I get to the entry point that we want? I guess we would just... That's weird, though. Like, what if I want to go to a specific entry point in the file? Like, let's say we want to read from line 100 or some shit. I actually need to go read the D-Lang docs again, bro. Well, the D-Lang book. I'm pretty sure he covers an exact example of that. The content of buffer is reused across calls. This would just be if you wanted to read a file buffer or chunk by chunk. But that's important to read it into memory to keep it from being like a massive amount. Let's see. Size T, size. I guess you don't need a standard in for that. Wait, oh, file. Ah, so their file is standard in. We don't need that. Let's get rid of that. Because I can do without. Alright, that should be good. Chunks. And for chunks, we'll just do 4096 in our file, which we'll just put here. File. And then chunks. Or the buffer's 4096. And I went to write a line from that. Well, actually, this is weird though. I've never had to solve this problem before. Like, I've never actually screwed around with trying to read a specific segment. But this would be how you get that for each U-byte buffer. So the U-byte buffer would be the size 4096. And then you do whatever you want to do on this in here. I don't think that's what I'm looking for. And I'm not really sure what I am trying to look for. Turn standard output as a file. Let's go back up. I'm probably gonna just go read the book because that has the answers I'm looking for. Library reference? Maybe in here? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Documentation. Oh, they don't even have the books page anymore? Learn? Do they got the books page here, bro? Bro, I don't need the tour of D-Lang, bro. I already am the expert, honestly. Command line reference. Community resources. Where's it at? Actually, I just have the book in here. I don't want to read that copy, though. It's a .text version. Documentation. Yo, what's up, man? Hello. We're doing some D-Lang programming. How am I? I'm good. I'm gonna be working on the D-Lang project of old time. Control F, file. Oh god, okay. There's 400 file things. Redirecting the standard, okay, so that's how you would create a file with all of that. It's literally the same you do on a Linux terminal with bash. Files. They have access rights, they have other stuff, and other things. Nice, I gotta go, but here is something for you. Good luck, man. Thank you. Sent 100 for 2 joules. Thank you, man. Opening a file. File equals file. And then that's how you would open the file. File.close is how you close a file, which I already know. I want to read about reading files. So here, not end of line, and it reads it in a loop. That's how you would read a loop of a file, or how you'd go from the beginning to end of line. Writing to a file, reading from a file. This is how you do it line by line. But that's not particularly what I want to do. See, I want to take a chunk of a file and then read the chunk of the file from my buffer line by line. But I want the chunk to be a specific index. So that's something I don't know if the book has in it in this section. Let's type of auto and type of. Okay, so we've passed file. So yeah, I don't think it's in the book. At the beginning of the book, in the specific page on this, so that's cool. I guess we'll just have to wing it. That's fine. I'm cool with winging it. For each U-byte buffer, chunks of file. I wonder if there's like a way to open a specific point. Like maybe I should just fucking look it up. Delang open or open file at specific line. See if we got that on some Stack Overflows or whatnot. Oh god. Function.read. Working with files in the D programming language. Lots of stuff on function.read. Reading file by line. How to read binary file data using delang for C++. Bro, I wonder how much that these guys ragged on this guy for. They probably were like, delang bad, use C++. We like cube, guys. The fucking delay or C++ analog overloads. Like, bro. Oh god. It got worse, didn't it? Oh wait. Oh, this is the same shit, it's just on Reddit now. Bro, Reddit's cooking with these squares now, bro. Look at this. Box. This is box right here, man. Box. Fucking plus minus minus. What the hell? I love when people invent great stuff like this. Bing Mojik. File IO Nomad software. Open file at specific to read. You must open the file and skip preceding lines. Bro, that's so inefficient though. Imagine I have a 1,000-line file and I just have to go. I guess what we could do is skip each line by go. Okay, I think I have an idea. Just do it differently. For each, actually, no, we could do a while loop though, or a for. Yeah, do for, and then just put my buffer in there. Man, it's kind of annoying that there's not an open at a specific point. I swear there's a way to do that. File.readln, which is kind of sad, but this is what I've ultimately decided is the best answer. Buff equals append file.readln. But that's got to be inside of an if statement because we're going to pretty much run it off of that. So if the I equals index, which is going to be randomly generated in the constructor before any of this switch happens, then do it. That's pretty much how it's going to be. We'll have a static for our this dot thingamajig. I'm pretty sure what I'm doing is a sin, though. I'm not only am I using object-oriented programming, but I'm also committing a heinous act of, how is it called? Using my constructor to create a shit ton of do this. Like, what? Do thing.delang, do thing.viewer. Alpine is like Debian for retired Gentoo users. I might try Alpine. Well, I think I tried it once, but then I'm like, bro, what am I doing? Why am I doing yum install, bro? Why not yay for my viruses, bro? I need to get my viruses from sudo yay. AUR, bro. Give me more virus, please. I like infection. So if I equals index, but if it doesn't equal index, if I is less than index, then it needs to do math to figure out how far it needs to go to if I is not greater than index and less and actually no, is not that, but also needs to not be less than another thing, or less than it. Goalpost. Goalpost. Or frame, maybe? Call it frame. Bro, naming shit's fucking hard. I hate naming shit. Is that actually just the case for all programming? Is like, what am I doing? And if I is less than frame 2, but we could just do an array that holds 0 and 1. I could just call it start and end, you know? Like a normal human being instead of fucking thinking of soccer goal. Bro, what am I doing? I'm thinking of a soccer goalpost and being like, that's where we want the ball to be. But I don't know why I'm thinking of that. Like, I don't even like soccer, man. What the hell? Plus plus I. Well, actually, it's I plus plus nowadays because I've learned from my mistakes of the past. The only thing that's too minimal, or the only thing is it's too minimal, so if you need to install a lot of things, it'd be still small. I mean, if you don't really need it for, like, if you have it for, like, a dedicated server purpose, maybe it'd be good. Bro, if you all haven't seen yet, I got the cables now, by the way. We got shit tons of cables. We have, stacks of cables. Heaps, bro. Heaping stacks of cables. Mounds of cables. Cables for days. Until I get us actual servers and shit, but that probably won't happen until next year. I'm pretty sure it won't happen until next year that we will get our massive servers and stuff. I++. What am I doing? So we have I++. We also have to initialize I, so it would be double, or actually that's for floating point stuff. Long I or no, equals 0, brain work or slaptication, until the if statement. But we need to increment it, so to do that, you'd have another if statement in here. So there is no real end point, I guess. Unless we have if not complete, which this is technically valid. You don't need to have an equals, so you could technically just have a bool complete in here, and we'll call it bool complete. And this is the weirdest for loop I think I've made so far. I don't think I've really ever thought to use the not and a boolean together, but and this also needs to, oh, if you're initializing two things, you have to do it in a very specific way, which really pains me inside when I have to do this, but I actually need to put these inside of a scope. That's why I hate doing that, so we're not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to measure the if it's complete value based on if it's complete or not. So what I'm going to do is something with end, maybe? We haven't even initialized end yet. So to initialize end, we would need to be like, well, what's the endpoints and stuff? We're probably going to do this dot end. This dot start and this dot end, which basically pulls from the main area up here. We should be able to pull those. There's no reason this code is probably going to break when I go to compile it. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. This is a lot of stuff I haven't really tested, specifically doing everything in this constructor, although I'm pretty sure it will work. So we're going to initialize those, the start and end up at the top. We'll call them both long. Actually, they might be double. Let's go long. Let's go ahead and say it's long. That's to say that it will be fine. Long, and you can technically initialize two in the same line, so let's do it that way. And end. Boom. That's my initialization for start and end. Those are going to be made inside of a random number generation function. Although start and end should basically just be... Yeah, they'll probably be initialized based off of that. Because that will give us that, but then the... escape? Oh. Things breaking. Okay, things breaking. Okay. Cool. Back to what we're doing. Alright, so that just does file.readline for the whole thing. And appends it to buffer. And to get buffer out, which buffer isn't anywhere, is it? So we have our static void. We don't have a buffer for this. We could just create an output called out, and we'll put and call it this.out. This.output, and actually no. We will use a buffer instead. The buffer is going to be a string array. No, it's just going to be a string. We'll put it inside of a scope. Actually, you don't need to do that, but it does, in my opinion, look better to do this. And it also needs to be selective. So if the line does not exist, then it needs to know where EOF is at, too. So that's important to keep a note of, that it needs to have that capability as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and create the buffer now. Create buffer up here. So buff, and that's going to be a string. It's going to have nothing in it, so we don't even need to initialize it yet. That's just going to get written after the for loop. Technically, it is scope guarded by just being inside of the function, although this provides you with more like dynamic. This is definitely not needed. I definitely don't need to have a scope guard there. Right ln buff. And that's the actual output. So that we've got an input and an output kind of figured out, but we need to figure out the other pieces of it, because that's not all we need to do. So what do I need to do next? Let me think for like 5 years, and then I'll come up with a potential solution. For now, we're just gonna have this exist because, I mean, it's gonna end up being a copy of the carbon copy of the top one. So top one, we're just gonna get one line to print. So this is if we have multiple people. In here, then we'll have it do that. Or if we have, yeah, in the viewer file. Let's see. Me thinking really hard right now about this, but my brains are kind of melting. They've been deep fried for 2 days straight with assembly code, and even that I've barely learned anything. I've learned like jump 0 and compare, and that's I haven't even learned those. I don't even know how to do compare, honestly. Assembly eats me inside. Hello. Hi, what's up? I'm actually surprised these Ethernet cables are working really good. They are working really good too. Bro, the gigabit port on the Raspberry Pi must be melting. On vibe coding? I mean, it is what it is. I would tell you that it's kind of dumb, but honestly, I think it is a good resource. But if you just let the AI do all of the work for you, then you're not getting anything out of it. See, it's a good way to find new ideas that you might not have, but I don't like it because a lot of people just think, oh, I'm gonna have a robot write all my code for me. That's not what it should be. It should be a tool for, like, if you want to find a new way of doing something that you might not have thought of, or some new potential like that, but having it write all your code for you is not how it should be. So that's something I don't like. And I like to avoid it as much as I can, personally. Like, if I cannot find any information on something, then I will go and use it. It's like the last source, honestly. But I've never actually had, like, an agent tool or use that for any of these videos. I just use Brave browser, bro. Why Kate, by the way? I just kind of got used to the feel of it. Like, I could use anything else, but I just like the feel of it. Also, I mean, I guess I could just use Vim. Also, my terminal looks like, where is it at? Extreme. Like, it's, I need to redo my terminal this weekend, basically. My color fonts, bro, my color formats are terrible. The color palette, bro, it's all purple. It's killing me. The fucking purple palette. Purple palette is killing me. Anyway, me thinking through the problem is eating my brain. So if we have this start, also we need to have an if statement. If I does not equal start, W wallpaper, yeah, you should see this one. He's coming to sell you a GPU. Or, where was the other one? We had one that we had to redo. Oh, I didn't make that one. This one? I didn't make that one, but we have the Todd Linux. And then we have the Ubuntu Sleeper one. This is the Linus Torvalds meme where he says, fuck you, NVIDIA. You can't really see it though, because I masked it a lot. And then, of course, the AI Tux Penguin background that my friend gave me. I think it's AI, but I don't know. Better than most Overrise setups. Finally, IV circuits on GTNH. Yeah, that's pretty neat. My brain's fried. My brain's fried 2 hours of sleep, guys. Wow. If I does not equal, or is, if I is less than this dot start, and then we'll just go from there. Set it equal to this dot start. Actually, I should just set I equals. Why would I have a? Why would I do any of that when I could just set it to this dot start? Actually, we don't even need a start. We could just find our endpoint and then subtract 50 from it, or something like that. Then it will read 50 lines into our right ln. That is called magic. See, you don't even need a start one. We'll find our then, and then, boom, print out this from the end. So that means that this dot start is basically this dot end minus 50. I'm thinking too much of like assembly where you'd have a register, or like you'd have like your fucking shit at the top. I don't need two things for this. I could do it with one. But also assembly is kind of helping me think of that though. So we still need this dot end here. But we need to subtract like, let's go with a solid number like 24. It's a good number. This dot end minus 24. I think that's acceptable. I think that will not break. Although I could be wrong. For I equals this dot end minus 24 lines. Or 25. Might be 25. Do until I equals this dot end. And we can get rid of this portion of it. So the if statement is that if I is greater than or equals to this dot end, that's perfect. So that will mean it will hopefully avoid any. Actually, technically I can get rid of all of this. We don't even need all of that extra complicated bloat now. That's one thing I don't like in my programming, is when I include a whole bunch of extra bloat nowadays. We'll go ahead and do that. I mean, the D language itself, honestly, I feel is kind of just bloated language. I really don't want to say that, like, it's bad. It's just, like, I feel like most high-level languages end up being bloated because of what we found yesterday, that they have a lot of, assembly just is, like, nice. Assembly is nice, bro. Assembly is the language where you're like, damn, this shit's fucking slim, bro. I understand why people could probably, well, why psychopaths probably do that language, bro, because it's actually not bad. And if I does not equal end, so this means that it will have to start here, and then it will have to read until the end. That's pretty good. Let's see, we have buff that file.readline. Of course, I could do no buffer, and we simplify the code even further. I don't think we even need a buffer for this anymore. Which just means we only need the for loop and a write line. So that really simplifies everything. It removes a lot of stuff I don't need. That's gonna be the entirety of how each of these works. You have a scope exit, which means that whenever it hits the end of this, it's gonna exit the file, and you have a for each loop, which reads from a endpoint to reduce everything that we, or to adapt to everything we did. We will remove that. Now we just need to have a helper function that, or helper method in this case, to create those. Because yes, the entire thing is one class that's going to be ran in void main, which is the entry point for the program. That's crazy. Which is that is literally the craziest thing, I think. Although that doesn't matter. Anyway, so yeah, we'll just copy the same shit, but for that one. literally just a for loop that handles it, and then boom, boom, save. Does this. Pretty nice. I'm pretty sure file.readln will put it into the standard out, so that should be good. All we need to do then, so now we have our args, which is the source, which you can just be like delang, or the default is to viewer. So we have a default statement, we have which defaults to a viewer suggestion for what to put in there, or well, more so supporter suggestion. Let's change that. Supporter suggestion. So that way it makes it easier to we're still gonna call the file viewer. I'm not changing the file name. That's where I draw the line, is changing a file name. I don't want to do that. Why is there an asterisk in this one? That's a good question that I probably should figure out the answer to. Save that. Alright, so I think we're at the point where I can compile it, although we need to create a value for end. Otherwise it's 0. And to do that, we're going to create another static function, or static method, called void init, since that's what it's going to do, initialize things. So that's where I'm going to do all of the handling for creating our end statement. We're going to look at standard.rand, rand documentation, language reference. We need the library reference this standard.random. There should be one. Did I see interop? Setops? Oh, never mind. I just read iteration and ops is the same. Demangle. I mean, I guess we could have it act upon bytes. Be crazy, but. Ooh. Yeah. Tired. But we need a random number generator. And also we need to have a way of checking the length of the file. Yeah, that's kind of... I don't want to hard code it, because what if somehow you change delang, or what if you wanted to put your own file in there or something. So I don't want to do that, obviously, and let's continue down. Capabilities, bro. I can't remember to read capabilities. I was like, compatibilities? Is that? But no, it's capabilities. I'm like, bro, I'm like losing it, bro. I'm like, abilities. It's capabilities. It's not capabilities, bro. I'm dying now. No. Core dot memory control the built-in garbage collector. Yeah. By the way, they have to cater to Windows enjoyers. Oh, God. Well, actually, I don't know how many people use Windows out there, but I think Windows is lame, so... Vector programming? You got your core.simd, bro. Wonder what we can... I'm getting sidetracked, but I really want to check this out. I see a lot of intrinsics. Wow. What is this one? I'm pretty sure it's going to be intrinsic. Generate 2 operand instructions with XM128-bit operands. Bro, I need to check this one out. This will blow my brain cells into the atmosphere. Oh, move APD, move DQB. Bro, and this is like assembly stuff? It looks like assembly stuff. That would fry my brain more than it already is. Unrecoverable brain fry. My friend is learning Python, and it's pretty interesting. Python is something I might try out. But, I don't know. Math, memory, runtime. URI, uni. Man, this is crazy to me. Oh. What am I looking for again? God damn it, I hate when this happens. Need to create random numbers. Not using thermal entropy, but that would be pretty cool. I mean, I guess I could just use the thermal entropy to feed the random number generator. Iteration, algorithm, big int. Yes, big int. That's literally just 128. You know what I didn't realize is that some architectures actually allow that. I'm not sure exactly where I read that, but I think it might just be like all x86 underscore 64, or all x86 64-bit systems. Probably have that. I don't know exactly. But I think I read it maybe in the Intel manual or the AMD one. 128. Maybe about this book. Volume 4. 128-bit and 256-bit media instructions. I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked so hard right there. Random. Bro, how did I miss that so long? Wait, what's also process? I think process is for like... Can like kind of give you a lot of information. Oh wait, it was for... I don't remember what I used it for. I used it for something. Choice, dice, uniform, random sample. You have random engines. Stuff like that. Let's check out... I think linear congruent engine, congruential. Oh, that's how you declare your own. Okay, so we'll use a linear congruential engine. Good God, that name is gonna eat me inside, bruh. Or I could just write my own version. I don't really know much about random number generation, but I think I can't do that because my brain cells would just fry. Standard.limited. Wait, is that a thing? Did you see limited? You want me to read limited? Where's it at? Standard.limited. Is male. Curl. Curl's actually interesting. It literally just is curl. Logger. Limited. Maybe it's core.limited, but I don't see Control F. Limited. Yeah, no, I don't see that. Don't see that at all. Not here at least. Digest, HMac. It's like Big Mac, but H. Yeah, that's pretty great. No RNG. This is how Dream hacked Minecraft for a speedrun. Oh, Standard Limited is a real company. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I started to think after a second. I was like, oh, is that just a company name? Auto n equals random. Same on each run. This is an example of how to use alias O. Oh, okay. Oh! So the CPP 11 LCG. glibs LCG. Interesting. Declare your own Visual C++s. How is that even worse? What's the difference? What is the difference between C++ and Visual? C++ is a standardized language. Visual C++ is a product that more or less implements that standard. Ah! So it's for C++ cells who want to become micro fill in the blank with the word that starts with C and ends in K. It has a U and a C in the middle. Take a moment to digest that information. I think the one we want is Myrcene Twister. Reseeds. Minced random. Linear. Fucking brain damage. Linear congruent engine. The first thing it does, we're going to use MT. We're going to use this one. Myrcene Twister is great. Recommended for random number generation, unless memory is severely restricted. In which case, linear congruential engine would be generator of choice. There's the Myrcene Twister engine, and then there's the MT14 Balonies. Oh, there's also XOR shift. But, like, all this is, like, bitwise operations and stuff. I have, like, this is, like, what? What is it doing? I have no idea what it does, because that's, like, beyond my brain grid. Anyway, I want MT19937. So let's go ahead and use that. Import standard dot random, and then go ahead and do the MT1937 underscore 64 or Myrcene Twister. One of these threes will get us there. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do that here. We'll do a selective import inside of our method. Import standard dot random, and go ahead and import the MT19937. Don't ask how I memorized that, because I didn't do it all the way. Oh, I forgot the underscore 64, so we can maximize our 64-bit extension. And then put a semicolon. And now I can just call that in here. That's going to select the endpoint, pretty much. However, that's going to go in its own thing, so if we need to also import a way of dissecting the file size, which will be in standard.dir. However, I'll do that after we implement the standard.file is actually what we need. Yep, here we go. You should be able to grab the file size and detect the amount of bits to determine the length. So what you would do is you would go with get size. Get the size of file in bytes. And what does it return exactly? Alright, so we're going to import standard.file. Oh, wait. This is interesting, because we won't know the file size until we call which file it is, unless we call in it every single time. So that will have to happen inside of those. So let's go ahead and do that and add a comment for that later. Use file dot get length property from std.file. Nice. Alright, let's go ahead and work on the random number generator then. Since we know that that's not something we need to do right now, scroll back up to the top for now. What am I creating? I'm creating a tool that will give me like a random piece of a document. I don't know. It's a command line tool that will randomly cat for you. It'll be like, all right, here you go. It's a great idea for a project to just practice, I guess. I don't really know. MT. Let's continue. So we need to make the MT 1937 thing. And generating a uniformly distributed 64-bit number with a period of 2 to the power of 1937 or 19937. Amazing. I don't know why that's the magic number, but okay. Programming is really a shitty experience on Windows, not gonna lie. Yeah, I've tried it. I tried that when I was in middle school. I was like, bro, this ain't it. And then I just gave up on programming for a while. I was like, I can't even learn this. And then I came back in the year 2026, which is this year, and I've learned D-Lang. I'm like, bro, now I'm the D-Master XXL. That sounds actually pretty bad. I probably should rephrase that. So I guess this is the seed. The seed is going to be arg0 or whatever. This.arg. This.args2. And then seed. So yeah, we'll put this.args2 for the seed. So we need to do auto equals... Wait, is that how it's auto gen equals MT... Yeah, that. And then, let's see, is that how it's defined? Yeah. And then you put in a seed, and the seed's going to be arg0. So this dot arg0. Wondering if I should rice it or switch to Ubuntu or something. Don't switch to Ubuntu. It's actually, I mean, I'd say switch to like Linux Mint first. If you can rice Windows though, then you're like insane. I don't know. Lazy Vim? No, this is Kate. K Advanced Text Editor. I just kind of settled on this one as being the one I like the most. See, I mean, it's got GUI and all that, but like, I also made it transparent so you can see the NVIDIA backgrounds. It's a reminder that NVIDIA is coming to give us, is never going to give us Blackwell GPUs. They're just going to pop out of the NVIDIA gate and eat all our RAM and HBM memory. Probably. What am I using? Oh, I'm using Arch. You can tell because the guy in the background is Arch, by the way. If you need proof, here's my Arch distro on my 24 network. Wow. Arch, by the way, guys. If you didn't know. Oh, sorry. That's my file browser. It has Jason Huang coming for you. Yeah, he's gonna take my NVIDIA GPU from me. He needs it for his Blackwell gaming setup. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. This .arg of 2, which can be a number. I don't know if there's any specifics for the number. Your eyes burn from the graphics. Bro, this background's actually insane though too. I cooked on this one. We did this one live. HBM like mod? No, HBM as in memory. Have you seen the video where he's like where he's like what's it called? This is the weirdest rice I've seen in my life. Yeah, it's the ultimate rice. Or either Weebs with Hyperland or this. Well, hey, I got 6 wallpapers on one device. Oh, you didn't even see Todd. He's coming to sell us Skyrim today. I forgot I was saying something, but I don't remember what it was. Auto... What else does it say? Auto n equals gen dot front. Okay, same for each run. Who knows what the actual auto is? What gen dot front actually is? It's probably something. Todd's coming to sell me Skyrim, guys. I'm telling you. He's coming to sell Skyrim. The next Elder Scrolls game is going to be Elder Scrolls 7, the Microslop. If I was EuroOS, I would sudo rmrf. Yeah, that's honestly what I think to do sometimes. And then just start from scratch and make it all over again. Why did I just copy write ln? I don't need to write the ln for n. N is a number. It exists. But also... we only want, like, the first one. Or, like, just a random index of it. So... there is a way to do easy randoms, where you don't have to have, like, a huge number. We'll just take a random index with a variable width of up to 3. I try to use it as little as possible. Because I feel like it inhibits learning, so... let's continue. Gen.seed. Unpredictable seed equals... long. Oh, that's for different across runs. Oh, okay. Unless I don't want them to define the seed. I guess I would do auto gen and then gen.seed unpredictable seed exclamation point long. Is there an unpredictable seed in here? I don't think there is. I don't know where that comes from. Oh, it is a thing. Unpredictable seed. There's also random, which is really good if you needed just random. I don't know why I need Mercy and Twister. I actually could just use RNDgen or one of those. But we'll go to here. Unpredictable seed. Warning, this function must not be used for cryptographic purposes. Despite being implemented for certain targets, there are no guarantees that it sources its randomness from a CSPRNG. What's up? Hello. In general, periodically receding, the PRNG does... oh, pseudo-random number generator, by the way. I don't know what CS means, like CSGO, or crypto secure PR pseudo-RNG. Whoa, CS. CS gas? CSGO? C# language? I know some C# developers and they do crazy things. I can't show the things that they're up to right now, but I wish I could. What am I trying to do? I'm going to make a random number generator that takes an index, or well, that gives me an endpoint of a file, and then I subtract from that endpoint to find where I'm going to start reading the file from, and then I'm going to write every line of that to the standard out. I hope that makes sense. So when we initialize this, I suppose we need to have either gen.seed or autogen equals that. I'm guessing you would if you did gen.seed is to make an unpredictable seed, then if that's the case, then we would only need one we don't even need any index. I will give it a random seed. And we'll continue. But is that autoed? Is it like auto in there? Oh no, it's just gen.seed. Gen.seed unpredictable seed. Okay. And n doesn't need to be auto. That's just if you want to write it out. Alright, let's go ahead and do that. Put in gen.seed, which technically you wouldn't even need to have an arg2, which means boom. Put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives me a random number using Mercine Twister Engine. That gives me the ability to then put in unpredictable seed u long. Let's go ahead and put a comma. Pretty sure u comes after n, so we'll put it here. Is unpredictable seed a capitalized word? No, so it's just going to be all the way. This is going to be painful. Sometimes I forget words and then I don't know what I'm writing. And I'm like, bro, what did I just forget? Unpredictable seed exclamation point. So kind of like task, honestly. I had an exclamation point. It's just like probably a pointer of some kind. Or I forget what they're called. They actually have a name. Anyway, let's go with u long. Oh. I had a regular long. Okay, we'll do that. So it's a u long. Do I have anywhere else I define longs? These are u longs now. Congratulations. All of these need to be u long. Because that's 64 bits, so it needs to be a u long, probably because we're using the 64-bit, and u long will support that. uint would be a 32-bit, so there's also long, which is 64 bits technically, but it only goes 32 bits in each direction, probably, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how the binary looks on those when you have negatives and things, but I'm assuming it's probably starts at, or one byte's probably for positive and 1 byte's probably for negative values, and then you just have two 32-bit sections of it, but it's still I have no idea. It's just interesting stuff. A lot to think about with that, but anyway, it doesn't matter because all we need to do is have an exclamation point u long on there. So gen.seeds, that will create a random seed. What was the next thing? My brain hurts. N equals gen.front. Oh, right. And n is uninitialized at this time, so we'll have to put int n equals n dot, or auto n equals gen.front. Although technically should be u long, so give that a